It's almost 2024, and I think it's time I finally give my entire office/studio an upgrade. That includes my desk, my home lab, the room itself, but I want to get started with my main gaming machine. Now, I'm not Linus Tech Tips, so if you're expecting me to get an RTX 4090 and a Threadripper CPU, then you are sorely mistaken. I know my channel is not 100% focused towards cheaper hardware, but as a personal mantra, I believe in building reasonable and sensible computers that are within your means and make sense for your use case and your budget. So let's go over what I'm going to use this machine for, how much I want to spend, and ultimately what components make the most sense for me personally, right after a quick word from this video sponsor. If you're building a PC right now, then you're going to need a Windows activation key that is 100% official. And why bother paying a huge amount online when you can just use the sponsor of this video, Keysfan? Keysfan offers cheap and official OEM software keys for Windows, Microsoft Office, and other computer tools. All you have to do is click the link in the video description, select the product you want to grab, and type in my code JW62 for MS Office keys or JW50 for Windows activation keys, which gives you 62% and 50% off your purchase price, and boom, a fast and easy code with 24/7 customer service afterwards. Again, that's JW62 for Office and JW50 for Windows keys. Thanks again to Keysfan for sponsoring this video. So this video is going over my actual personal gaming rig, and I'm starting from the ground up. This PC truly will be 90% used for gaming and Discord, so not a lot of content creation or video editing on this bad boy, other than the occasional stream on my channel. The resolution I am targeting is 3440 by 1440p, so an ultra wide resolution, which is slightly more pixels than a traditional 1440p. My monitor has a maximum refresh rate of 144 Hz, but I'd be happy to hit the 100 to 120 FPS in most games at this resolution, and if that means having to use perks like DLSS or FSR to get there, I'm cool with that. I don't really play high-octane esports games that require 500 FPS. Most of the time I'm playing things like World of Warcraft Classic, Teamfight Tactics, Titanfall 2, and Overwatch 2, but I will occasionally dip into single-player experiences like Cyberpunk 2077, Hitman 3, and Baldur's Gate 3. I don't really have a preference in GPU or CPU brands, so AMD, Intel, and Nvidia are all on the table. I do want a CPU that is slightly more powerful than my graphics card requires, just in case I want to upgrade in the near future to something more powerful. Now, in terms of other requirements, I don't want too much RGB. Maybe just a little light inside is okay. And I'm not too concerned about the size or color of my case. I really tend to gravitate towards smaller and white computers, but I'm looking to mix things up in this new office. I also want the motherboard to have 2.5 gig Ethernet, Wi-Fi, and at least 2 M.2 NVMe slots on the board. So that means we're not going for the cheapest hardware around today, and we'll actually have some benefits other than just 4 RAM slots. For the storage on my machine, I decided to upgrade to Gen 4 with this 2TB Samsung 980 Pro, which is a super fast and super reliable drive. And if I'm being honest, I would have been totally happy with like a simple Gen 3 SSD, but I found this slightly used on Facebook Marketplace for $60 and I couldn't pass it up. Gen 4 isn't going to make my games run any faster realistically, but if I do end up using this machine for anything more than gaming in the future, which is very, very possible, I'll be prepared. 2 TB of storage is enough for me at this time, so I can install a ton of games and not have to worry about constantly making room for new games to install. For my motherboard, I went with this MSI Z790 Pro, which was a great choice for what I'm working with today, but also keeps me relevant a few years from now. This Z790 allows some awesome overclocking if I want to go down that route, has my Ethernet and Wi-Fi requirements covered, 2 M.2 slots, and ample room for expansion with multiple PCIe slots. I don't have anything planned for those slots right now, but it'll be nice to be covered in the future. But this board is DDR5 only, so I can't rely on any cheap DDR4 RAM to slam in this thing, so I just went with this pair from Crucial. 32 gigs at 5600 megatransfers per second. Crucial is a solid company, and the sleek black design of the heatsink just makes this an easy and minimalist choice for memory. Now, if you're familiar with motherboards, you'll know the Z790 has the LGA 1700 chipset, which covers the 12th, 13th, and 14th generation of Intel processors, a pretty big range of modern and powerful CPUs. But as I stated before, I don't really need the best of the best. So I simply grabbed the i7 12700K when it was on sale for Black Friday. The 12700K might be a few years old now, but it is still insanely powerful for the price, coming in with 12 cores, 8 of those being performance cores and 4 being efficient cores, as well as 20 threads, and can boost up to 5 GHz, making it a great choice for powering most graphics cards on the market, even with a little headroom to spare. The only downside is that this newest Intel chipset has had some issues with pressure from the cooler being applied unevenly, leading to some people having thermal issues. So to solve that, I just picked up an easy and cheap contact plate that replaces the bracket on the motherboard and helps give 100% even contact to the CPU. This should help the CPU stay cooler and prevent most issues regarding thermals from even happening in the first place. I want to give a special shout out to NZXT for helping on this build. They reached out to me and were wanting to send out a few final components to finalize my build. First up is the NZXT C750, which is a fully modular gold-rated power supply. It's got a lot of cables, which allows you basically any level of upgrades on your computer, so I'll be set for anything I'll ever need. And 750 watts is enough power to handle pretty much anything I can imagine throwing at it. It's a B tier on the PSU tier list, which is really high. It's like the highest I've used in a long time, and it's perfect for everything I'll need out of it. The sleeve cables resist heat damage as well as fraying, and has a 0 RPM button which allows you to turn off the fan to keep things a little quieter. The PSU comes with a 10-year warranty, which gives me a lot of peace of mind and makes me feel comfortable using this machine for the next 10 years or more. Alongside that is the CPU cooler. This is NZXT's Kraken Z5 III. Their 240mm liquid cooling AIO that comes with two 120mm fans and an LCD display on the pump that shows the temperature of your CPU right inside your case. It's pretty cool to be able to see if I'm having thermal issues just by quickly glancing inside the case. The radiator and fans themselves are in this matte black finish look, which I actually like a lot. The kit comes with a lot of mounting hardware, so if I ever decide to switch to AM5 in the future, I'll have it ready. But for now, I think this cooler is more than enough for my 12700K, and I don't expect to have any cooling issues in the future. I hope this thing stays quiet in the long run and doesn't develop any air bubbles or broken pump or anything, but only time will tell. And to encase all these components is the H6 Flow, which is their newest case that has a unique look. Instead of being the traditional rectangular box we're all used to, the H6 Flow has this angular corner that has 3 fans attached to it, so you can enjoy the fish tank PC case look, but still have good airflow in this dual chamber design. I'm usually not a fan of big cases, but I actually really like the look of this case just because it's different. It's unique and doesn't sacrifice on performance for looks. It fits a full-size ATX motherboard and power supply, has a ton of room for huge graphics cards, and you could also install a lot more fans if you want to. I got the black version of the H6 Flow and it looks pretty slick and I'm pretty happy with it. Building in it was relatively easy. I've gotten so used to building in cheap cases that I almost forgot what it's like to use a case that isn't extremely budget. And last but certainly not least is my choice in graphics card. Arguably one of the most important and expensive part of any PC build that will determine just how powerful this PC will be. And like I said earlier, I want a PC that is reasonable and sensible. Just because you have the money to go and buy a 4090 doesn't mean you should. And a good thing, because I don't have the money to buy a 4090, but it does look pretty sick. Playing in 1440p at around 100 to 120 FPS for most games, there's only a handful of video cards that can do that, and they range wildly in price. But ultimately, I decided on this Power Devil Red Dragon 6700 XT as my current graphics card. The 6700 XT has been pretty infamous as of late for being a very best bang for the buck type of GPU in the mid-range at the moment, especially in the used market. I actually bought my card on eBay for about $250, which I think is a pretty good deal for a 3-fan 1440p capable card. The 6700 XT has 12 gigs of VRAM, so it almost passes the criteria for not being considered e-waste by certain Australian YouTubers, and will stay relevant for a few more years. The 12700K CPU we chose is more than enough to power this thing, but also gives us a little headroom if I decide to upgrade my graphics card sooner rather than later. I could simply take out the old card, put in the new one, and not have to worry about a full platform change just to get a few more FPS. I'm really happy with the 6700 XT for my use case and performance requirements, and I think you'll be surprised just how powerful a $250 GPU can handle. So let's do a quick look at this PC and then go over a few benchmarks to give you an idea of how this thing pumps. So there you have it. The Jason Witmer personal rig update is complete, and I couldn't be happier. This gaming PC will be awesome for me and keep me entertained for years to come. I know you might not agree with every decision I've made in my personal rig, and that's okay, to each their own. But you have to remember, while this PC might not be perfect or worth $2,000 or whatever, it's mine, so I love it. And you're probably wondering why I didn't mention any content creation requirements like video editing or Photoshop. And what about the rest of my desk and my office? Well, this video is actually just part 1 of my entire office studio makeover. So if you want to see the glow up of my entire office studio, be sure to get subscribed and keep an eye out for my desk upgrade, home server upgrade, and my entire studio makeover. If you like this video, please like the video below and leave a comment letting me know what upgrades you've made to your personal PC recently. My name's Jason. Thanks for watching.